Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to be making a snowball tossing slab snowman. And we call it a slab snowman because he's actually made out of a slab. Look, he's flat, but he gives the appearance of 3D by curving him. That way we're using less clay and it dries a lot quicker than those giant little snowballs. And we're able to make him taller and wider than if we rolled the actual balls out of clay. So let me tell you a little bit about the slab snowman first, very quickly. He's made with ceramic clay, pipe cleaners, wire, and this you can use a silver, a gold. This I have gold, but even silver would work because then the wire you want to just kind of disappear. You don't want the wire to show up. I basically use the wire just to support the snowballs that he's throwing. And if you make a whole bunch of them, they can have a snowball fight. It'd be kind of a fun display. I also use, for my paint for this project, I wanted this bright red. And I found that the Liquitex ink has this gorgeous red. And it's an acrylic ink. But you could actually use any kind of paint. And we left the clay. We used white clay, so we left this natural. And then I used a little bit of watercolor paints for the nose and a little bit of watercolor paint for the buttons. But that's basically all the materials you need besides your clay working tools and things, and I'll show you that as we're building. But I'm going to go ahead and start. We started off with a 4x-inch slab, and I give my students worksheets that I've made, and these can be uploaded from Teacher Pay Teacher. If you want to go on Teacher Pay Teacher and look at the Art Lady store, you'll find my worksheets for the kids. And we cut out with our pattern here. Here's the pattern. We cut out this pattern from our 4x6-inch clay. Now, of course, you can adjust the size. And what I have the kids do is put this on, take a pencil, trace over it, and then they can cut it out. For me, I'm just going to sketch it myself right on here. And I'm going to just sketch it lightly. A small ball. And then the last ball, these are just C curves, backwards C. And then the last one is a very large, oops, I kind of want it rounded here. And this last one is the exaggerated ball on the bottom, and this one ends up getting flopped and flipped over. Now, once you've sketched it out lightly, and like I said, the kids trace it with that pattern, we very rarely use patterns in my art class. Almost none. This is like the only one ever. But this one I wanted them to use a pattern because for me the effort to take this clay and make this into these 4x6 slabs is way worth the pattern, because if they mess up then they have to take another piece of clay, and this is a lot of work for me to cut the slabs. So we use a pattern for this. And once they place the pattern down, they lightly trace, and then they take a paper clip like I'm doing, and we just trim off the edges. I find that the paper clips works best for the kids. Smooth this out right now, that's what I'm doing, because it gives the least amount of crumbs on the clay. And that's what I found over the 30 years of me teaching clay to the kids. Now, if you have marks, I'm just going to quickly rub them in. These are marks from my slab roller. You can also use a clay cutting tool, which I prefer when I do, say, 100 slabs I have to cut. I use my slab cutter instead of the roller. The machine. It's a slab cutting tool. There. Once you have it smoothed out, you're ready to now decorate. And what you want to do is you basically can decorate this any way you want to. I round the head. I tap it in right here. And then what I have the kids do is we start off with a ball of clay. It's about the size of a grape. Roll it, and I press it. Look at how we place it right on top. And we use a little bit of water or slip when we're attaching something. And I have them just blend it in. If they want to scratch it up and then blend it in a little bit, that kind of helps attach these two pieces of clay. And I have some formal lessons on how to attach clay. if your students need to learn that. We press the blob in. This is like a little snow hat. You can shape it into anything if you want to make it a top hat. My example here it's like a ski cap here. But I'll show you on this one that I'm making right now, I'll make it a pointed top hat. You're just pushing with your fingers to shape it. I'm pushing in to make it a square and pressing the top down flat. And then I'm going to push this bottom up. And I'm actually going to pinch out, well, I can actually attach a brim. The brim of the hat, just like I did with my ski hat. And my clay is real wet right now, so I can just press it in and it's going to bond. I rolled a coil, a fat coil snake. I'm trying to go fast, so sorry about me not explaining everything. I rolled a coil snake, and now I'm attaching. Now, whenever you attach something to the front, of course this is overlapping. I'm going to have it wrap around the sides because I do want it to be somewhat 3D. You need to go back to the back, and this is important, seal these edges because it can cause weak cracks in the clay, and then as it dries, this can become 2 pieces of clay, and we want it to become 1. Then you can use some tools if you want to press in detail for the hat. You know, some kids added little flowers, whatever, however you want to decorate this. And then you can have fun doing your eyes, nose, and mouth. And I'm going to show you quickly. I have a technique for the nose, though, that I would like you to pay attention to. The eyes are just little, quick, tiny balls. Depending on the size, these are about a half a Skittle. You can push in the eyes, or you can make little balls. And then, again, put a little slip if you need to. I'm pressing in this, and by pressing this in really deep, it bonds the top ball into the base clay, and that helps join the molecules together so that they won't fall apart. And then I'm going to show you the technique for the nose. I make a hole completely through the snowman's face, right here. And then I'm going to roll a small ball, and I'm going to roll it into a fat barrel. And on each end of the barrel, I'm going to roll a cone. Now, I do have a video that shows Clay Basics, it's called. And it shows you how to roll a cone, a ball, well, a spear, and make a cube, and do some other things with clay. So if your students need to do that. But here is a double cone on each end. Let's see if you can see. I'll put it on the top of my hand so you can see it. And then we're sticking one end into the snowman's face. Now, if you want to dip this into slip and then stick it in, oops, I got a little squishy. Oh, come on. I got a little piece of clay stuck there. And then I flip it over. You can see how it's gone through the hole. And I rub it in. Toop, toop. That's it. And that way, this little cone, this little guy, this little nose is not going to fall off as it dries. This is something that is very common with the kids that ends up breaking or falling off. So I found that this works the best. Now your scarf. You can cut a scarf out of your leftover pieces and flatten it, or you can roll a coil and flatten that as well. You want it to be, I wanted it to be pretty long. See how it went behind the back and all around, wrapped all around? I'll just cut mine in half so I end up making a really long one. But rolling a coil will also work. I want to crisscross it. So see how I'm crisscrossing it, but I'm not making an exact perfect, see how it's crisscrossed on the front, but I'm not making an exactly perfect X. I want it to be more of like a natural scarf. So I'm having it come across the head, giving a little crisscross here, and then I'm going to wrap it around. That's why it's good to have real wet clay, because if you turn it to the back, attach it, here. And then I take my little pointed wood tool and I press in some fringes. Those are the little string ends on the end of a scarf. I'm going to press it in again on this side, and I'm just neatly pressing. And this is held horizontal to the page here, or to the snowman. Now, you can lightly press in the mouth. Now, some students push this in too deeply, and that causes a little weakness. You don't need big giant holes, and you can press it in any design you want. There, I just did a little, a small little smile here. And this represents the coal that was used traditionally to make the snowman's mouth. And of course, this is the carrot nose of the snowman. And then if you'd like to push in using back tools, little buttons, I don't have room for the third one here. And another alternative is to push in stamps at the bottom here. Snowflake stamps look great. I just have this one at my desk. I also have some lace. Actually, I'll just use some lace. And it gives some nice, it just gives a little texture. Let me show you what I did here, if you can see the texture. Instead of having, this was a stamp that had some curly-Q swirls, and actually it's hard to see a little bit in the video, but it has some little holly leaves on that stamp. You could push in winter trees, but for this one I'm just going to press in this lace. Lace works great too. And lightly press it in. Now when you're anytime you're pressing in texture, you do not want to adjust the thickness of the bottom slab. And this slab is about 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch thick. You do not want to do it any thinner than 1/4 inch because you want the strength of the clay as you fold it. And what I do is I wrap this clay around a tube at the bottom, paper tube. Oops, there goes my nose. To stand up. Or you just simply press it in here. I want this to be somewhat rounded, so I'm curving this slightly right here. And then the back, you're folding in to a rounded area. Now, I don't fully attach the back. You can if you want to. And then I also give it a little bit of a tip. I'm tipping it back so that when it stands upright, it's not fully straight. It's slightly tipped back so you can view it a little bit better. And at this point, to let it dry, I put it in a large lid, a box lid, a Xerox box lid. That's what I use in my classroom to let them dry. And I have them drying standing up. And you want to be careful that they are arranged perfect because the way they're going to stand now is the way they're going to stay. So you want to have it just the way you want it positioned, because once this clay dries, of course, you can't move the clay. Now, I do poke in for these armholes here. I poke in at this time directly below the scarf. I poke in a diagonal line into this thick wall of the slab. And I'm poking it in, and you want to poke it in about 1/2 inch. There's my hole. That's to hold the pipe cleaner, and I use an entire pipe cleaner, the black one. You can choose any color, but it's the black on mine here. I cut the pipe cleaner in half. Here you go. I'll show you here. Then the students fold the pipe cleaner in half to make these little, it's a Y shape here. And then this is a wire piece that's cut. And we glue the pipe cleaner and the wire into the side of the clay with Elmer's glue. And then they attach the snowballs. And the snowballs are 1 cotton ball. This is a diagonal again, at least 1/2 inch down. And that's how we finish up our slab snowman. And like I said, you can put it in a beautiful little display in a windowsill or a display anywhere, especially if you make more than one. I hope you enjoy the slab snowmans, and let me know how yours came out in the comments.